Hello friends, Tanya here with a video featuring another of the Simon Hurley collections. This is the Wild About You stamp and die set. It is so cute. It's 2 layers for each of these safari animals, and I'm going to let you know I struggle with the colors for giraffes. I do. I thought this raw amber and red jasper Altenew ink would make good giraffe colors, and I'm really liking that red jasper. So I stamped that a couple of times. I think that looks like giraffe spots, doesn't it? And then I'm going to take the coordinating stamp that creates some shadows on our giraffe, and I'm going to line that carefully over the spots. You could do this in either order. It doesn't really matter. You're just trying to get this lined up. And I thought that by using the spots, I would have a little more reference points to line up the second part. And I'm leaving the stamps in place. I have my mini Misty here because I may want to stamp this again. And I may want to stamp more than one version, which I do end up doing. So here is the raw amber, and that doesn't look horrible, but I'm thinking it's just not quite the look I want. So I pull out a couple more Altenew inks. This is Sea Forest and Marshland, and they're part of the same family of 4 colors. And we'll stamp the lighter of the 2 in Marshland on the cardstock. And I do want to stamp this a couple of times because I see that it's a little bit spotty. If I just let it rest, it might just even out since this is a dye ink, and that's how dye inks tend to work. They smooth out over time a little bit as that dye is absorbed into the paper. Because dye inks absorb into the paper, they don't sit just on top of the paper. So then I use the darker color, which now of course I can't remember the name of, and I add that to the top, and that looks pretty good too. Yep, pretty good. I could have gotten with that. Those are 2 different color combos. And then we have paper bag and what is that? Sea Forest. And I combine these 2, and I actually liked those 2. Kind of that red tone to the spots and the yellow tone to the body. Now we're going to die cut, or I have die cut those with the coordinating dies. Spellbinders has dies that cut out each of the animals, none of the sentiments. That's okay. We're going to make that work anyway. And I'm gluing a couple extra layers of cardstock behind our giraffe just to add a little extra stability and make him stand out just a little more, him or her. It's so cute. I do love a good giraffe. Next, we're going to use some stencils from the Simon Hurley release. This one's called Animal Prints, and it has a stripe that you can use for tigers or zebras, and it has this spotted area, which, you know, for safari animals, this works great for giraffes. And I did use the Marshland ink, and that looks way too green. So I'm going to layer some antique linen over the top of this. This is an 8.5 by 5.5 inch piece of white heavyweight cardstock that I have on my 9 by 12 Altenew sticky mat. And this antique linen really tones down that green tone from the Marshland. And we're going to add the giraffe spots, which if you did this black on white or kind of a reddish brown on white, that would make a really good cow print too. Just saying. We're going to use the paper bag ink over the top. Now this is going to work really well with a ink blending brush over the top of this stencil. Stencils really make all ink blending easier. The plastic of the stencil makes the ink that lands in areas that you don't want inked to just slide right into your other spots. And I just love that about stencils. Stencils are, yeah, they're affordable and they're fun. Now to continue this so I can make a 5 by 7 card, I'm going to clean this stencil, and we're just going to do a mirror image. So we're going to flip this stencil over and line up the previous spots. Just going to line those up, and they're going to make some large blobby spots. That's okay. It just continues the pattern. And of course, I have this piece of clear acetate that is from packaging. So it's not something I purchased extra. And I'm using that to cover the area I've already stenciled. I lay that over the edge of the stencil so it doesn't have any opportunity of getting ink where I don't want it. We'll just add that last little bit on the 5.5 by 8.5 inch piece of cardstock. We'll do a quick reveal here, and you can see that it does create a nice continuous pattern. There is a subtle line there where it's joined, but it's not super obvious. Next, I'm going to take out the 5x7 Matting Basics Set B die set, and I'm going to take the second from largest die because I want a large white frame around this on our 5x7 card base. You can see how well those giraffe spots match up to our cute little giraffe. And to keep the colors consistent, and since I don't have this color cardstock in my stash, because Altenew has, well, they have almost 200 colors of ink, and they have a significant number of those same colors in cardstock. So I'm sure there is a paper bag colored cardstock, but I'm just going to use the ink and my ink blending brush here to create a piece of cardstock that will match the ink blending that we've already created. You do not have to have every single color of cardstock. It's kind of nice if you have the budget and the space for it. But if you don't, the ink and white cardstock, yeah, they work great too. You could do direct to paper if you didn't want to use the ink blending brush. I was not wanting any streaks in my paper. Next, we're going to take the Essential, did that say Essential Modern Ovals? Yes, we're taking one of those, and we're going to use this embossing folder of the month from May 2025, and it is Abstract Study, I think is what it's called. And that would make sense because the theme that month was libraries and books. So we cut that out, then ran it through the embossing folder. I added an extra layer of cardstock behind that, and I have an extra layer of scrap cardstock behind this ink blended background panel. We'll glue that to our 5x7 heavyweight white cardstock base. I'm using my Barely Art Precision Glue in the fine line bottle. I love that combo. I do have to refill my bottle again. I do go through a lot of glue, but I make a lot of cards, y'all. I make a lot of cards. We're going to glue our giraffe on our oval, and I did choose an oval that was just big enough, and we still have a little bit of overhang of the giraffe. That was very intentional. That was the look I wanted. This is one of the sentiments from the stamp set. This says, "No one measures up to you." And I'm stamping that with some VersaFine Clara Nocturne ink on some heavyweight white cardstock. And I'm using some clear embossing powder from my bin of combination clear embossing powders. Many of them work just as well as any others. My favorite is the Brutus Monroe clear embossing powder. It just does a very nice job of a raised solid embossing, but this works great too. I'm trying to use up that embossing powder. We're also going to use the Infinity Circle dies from Hero Arts. I just chose one of those circles to die cut the circle around this sentiment. These Infinity dies are fantastic. Hero Arts recently had a sale. What was it? Buy one, get one free, I think is what it was. And I went and put in my cart all of the Infinity die sets that I could get my hands on because they're pretty darn handy, and they seem to continue to carry those for a long time. I appreciate that as an as a YouTuber or an influencer, how you are. I hate the word influencer. I really do. I'm just sharing what I love, and I don't want anyone to be purchasing things that they don't love and have the budget for. So that's why I hate the word influencer. I really hope I'm not influencing anyone to make choices that are not in their best interest. That is not at all what I'm about. I'm about sharing the joy of paper crafting and showing you products that you may or may not want, or maybe you can take some supplies that are in your stash already and use them in a similar way. That's what I love. However, it is nice to be able to link to things because people become upset when they cannot purchase the things that I'm showing. So I do make an effort to try to use things that are current so that if someone is motivated to purchase, they will not feel frustrated and they can find something in the purchase sphere. Anyway, so the inside of my card, I am using the same spotted stencil. I did lay down a rough oval of the antique linen and then stenciled over it with the paper bag and used another sentiment from the stamp set. I thought these worked really well together and it was a really well thought out stamp set. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't done that. Check that description box below for a link to the list of all of the things that I used today. And until next time, here are a couple more videos I thought you might enjoy. Bye-bye.